All right, today is Wednesday, the 16th of November. We're going to start on the MERN project now. For some reason, I'm having problems running the React Movie app with the fix in it. I'll get that fixed during the break, and that's not a problem. All right, so what I'd like us to do to start with is, and we've done this before, is I would like you please to go out to GitHub. All right, because one thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new repo right now. It's going to be some of the stuff we do in here is going to be a little different because we're going to be doing both the front end and the back end. All right. And we're going to get into some of the stuff today. I've got literally written down, I don't know, 20 some steps. All right. I'm not that far ahead of you, to be honest with you. So we're going to create a new repository right here. I have to make myself the owner, and we're just going to call it MERN app, MERN-APP, all lowercase, please. All right. And I'll keep mine public. So if for some reason you have problems with yours, you can always come down and port out mine. That's not a problem. All right. So like I said, it's public, and I'm going to create my repository. And I'm also going to grab that git remote add line right now. I'm just going to copy that to the clipboard. All right. So with all of that said, I'm going to start. So I'm at my desktop. And again, I'm doing this a little bit differently. So I'm going to ask that you go along with me and not try to go too far ahead. All right. So the first thing I want to do in here, after I've created my repo, is I want to come in here and I want to create a new folder on my desktop. And that new folder is going to say in here, we're going to call it MERN app. But we're going to do this a little bit differently than we've done it before. All right. So I created a folder on the desktop that's called MERN app. All right. And now I'm going to open that folder and I'm going to do a git bash here. All right. Now, what I want to do is normally we would come in here and don't type in this, but normally we'd come in and we type in npx create react app. And since we have our folder, we'd put a dot and that would do it here. That isn't what we want. All right. We're going to have a front end and we're going to have a back end to this. So what I'd like you to do is make sure again, and you're inside of the MERN app folder, and type in npx create react app and put in here just front end. We're not going to be real lavish with what we name stuff. So that should come in here and create a folder in here that's called front end. Put that in and hit enter, please. There's our folder. And again, we're going to do a bunch of different stuff today, some of which we've already done, some of which we have not done. Now, I know that a few of you, not just the people listening live, but a few other people have talked to me about problems when you've removed the report vitals and all the other stuff. I'm just going to leave it all in there. I'll leave everything in there. So everything that gets created will be left in there. So then there shouldn't be any kind of problem. All right. I'm going to eventually change that logo, etc., but that's not a big thing. As soon as we finish this part, so this is part one of our project. All right, as soon as we finish part one, we'll take a break, and I'm going to try to fix that during the break. So after the break, I can show you the fixes that had to be made to get the movie app to work. All right. Okay. So with all this done, I'm just going to clear my screen here. All right. And now I've got this front end that's right here. You see it. All right. So I'm going to do a CD to the front end. And I mean, I could go in right now. I could go into code. I'm not going to right now. I'm just going to look at it right now. So I'm doing my CD to front end. and I'm going to put in my npm start just to make sure everything appears to be working. All right, I've already got something running on port 3000. That was what I tried to get. So I'm going to do my npx kill minus port 3000 and then just run this again. And it should come up. You've seen this countless times. And it should basically just come up with my React logo spinning, etc., and all the other good stuff. I want to just make sure there it comes up like that. It didn't come up with any error. All right. That's good. That's a good start. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and I'm going to, I don't even need this running for right now. We can bring that up later. So I'm going to stop this. And I'm going to do a CD to ... because I want to be at my MERN app right there. And I'm going to put in here code . I'm going to bring this up in Visual Studio Code right now. All right, so we've got our MERN app, we've got our front end, which has got all of our stuff in it. All right. Now, there's a few things you don't have to do these, but there's a few things I typically do when I come in here. I like to go in to my index.html file like we're in right now. So I'm opening that. What I'm showing you now, if you don't want to do it, then don't do it. All right. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to remove these comments. They're unnecessary. Maybe you've read them before. Maybe you haven't. I don't know. But I'm just going to get rid of all those. That really cut down the size of my file here. I am going to add a few things to this in just a little bit. Not right now. All right. The other thing I'm going to do is, again, you don't have to, but it says React app in here. And I'm just going to call this basically the name of the program. So it's MERN app. Again, you can leave it React app. It really and truly does not matter. All right. So let's do a file, save, and I'm going to close this. All right. Now, again, I'm not doing it, but typically what I would do right here is I'd come in into my source folder and I would remove the app test and the logo and the report vitals and the setup tests. I would normally do that. But again, I'm not going to, because as I mentioned, and I would, as I mentioned, some of you have had problems when you've removed that. I'm not sure why. That is, to my knowledge, that has never happened before. All right. But it did now. So it's okay. But there is one thing I'd like all of us to do. All right. Now, if you look in here, when we're on our front end here, you won't see it from here. All right. But if I go back into here, all right, and I'm at my front end and I come, let me clear and let me do a CD to front end. I'm not going to do the back end right now. And I type in ls-a, you'll notice that one of the things that's in there is my Git folder. So in other words, and again, you've seen this before, if I go into front end right here and open it, one of the things that's in here is this file or this folder called Git. There's a problem with this. We don't want just a Git for the front end, and we don't want a Git for the front end and a Git for the back end. We only want one Git repo. All right. So I'm going to do a couple things right here. And I'd like you to do these as well. First, I'd like you to remove this Git folder. So highlight the folder under front end, just highlight it, hit delete.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
I actually don't have that Git folder, so I guess.
Well, you actually might have it. All right. But what happens is, let's see, you might have the setting that shows your dot files might not, your hidden files might not be showing. So let's figure that out right now. Now, we're going to do this, and if you say, nope, it's not there, I'm
Alright,
going to
no,
believe you.
I have it, I have it.
You do have it? Okay.
Yeah, I did the, hidden item, so.
All right. Okay. So we removed that. That's the first thing. The second thing we want to do is this git ignore file that's right here. I'm just going to show it to you. It's pretty big. We could recreate it, but I don't want to do that. All right. So what I want you to do is with that, let me close it. There you go. What I want to do is I want to grab this git ignore file right here. So I'm on the git ignore file in my front end, and I'm highlighting it, and I'm going to do a Control X to cut it. Then I'm going to move up to my project level. So under MERN app, and I'm going to paste it. So now my git ignore only exists in one place, and that place is at the project level. And the reason, again, that I want to do that is there's going to be a bunch of stuff that we want to put into this file, and we want it to be both stuff in the front end and stuff in the back end. All right. So now I've got this git ignore. That's fine. So I'm going to jump back in here into my Visual Studio Code. There's my .git ignore, and you can see it's no longer in the front end. All right. So I'm going to open up my git ignore, and we're going to make 2 changes to the git ignore. All right. In fact, we've got this /node modules, and probably the first one we're going to make here, we probably don't even need this. All right. But I'm just going to put this in, and that is I'm going to put in here node underscore modules. I want to make sure that it finds any node modules that we have in here. All right. We probably don't even need that new line 4, but I'm putting it in there anyway. All right. Then I want you to go down a little further in this file, and right underneath, right under where it says DS store, I want you to open up a new line and put .env, because your instructor has not done a good enough job this semester explaining that .env file to you and everything that's supposed to be put into it. So we're going to do that in this project. All right. Then please do a file, save, and then we can close the .git ignore. So I added this line here, line 4, which again may or may not even be mandatory, but this one we definitely want in line 17. All right, now I'm going to close this. All right, now I do want to get my Git folder back in here. So I'm going to go to View, and I'm going to go to Terminal, and I want to make sure I'm at I don't want to be in the front end. I want to be at the root. So I want to be in MERN app, and as you can see, I am. All right. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to type in git init and hit enter. Now I should have, all right, I should have in here, as it says, it gave me the empty repository inside of MERN app, which is what I wanted. I can double check that by going out to here, and there's my .git. All right, so it's showing there. So it is there. All right. At the end of the class today, if I forget, because you know how forgetful I can be, we want to make sure that we push today's changes out there to the system. All right. We could do it now, but we really haven't put much of anything in there yet. All right. So I'm going to go back into Visual Studio Code. I'm just going to clear this because right now I don't need to do anything with it. And I'm going to move this down for now. All right. Now I'm going to go over to my front end folder, and under front end and under source, because again, we want to do this the way you typically should create a React I should say, a MERN stack project. And that is, we want to come in and under source here, we want to go in and we want to create a new folder. That new folder will be our components folder. All right, make sure you put that under source. All right, and I'm just telling you right now, I mentioned this to you before. This is going to be done very, very, very deliberately. We're going to get to a certain point every class period. All right, and I'm not much ahead of you right now. I'm not going to lie. All right, so I've got some stuff to do for tomorrow. Friday will be our lab day. And on Friday, I hope to get ahead a little bit. All right, we're going to work on this tomorrow. Friday will be a lab. We're going to work on it next Monday. We're going to work on it next Tuesday. Next Wednesday will be a lab. And then after that, when you come back, we're going to basically have 2 or 3 weeks to work on this. All right, okay. So in here, we're going to want to, in our components folder, for now at least, and we're going to put a bunch more stuff in this, but for now, all right, we're going to start by creating a file that's called, so we're going to put a new file. We're going to make 2 of them. Let's just make them both. We're going to make header.js under components, and under components, we're going to make footer.js. So again, make sure they're both under components. All right. Now, normally we come in here and I want to show you what we do, but I don't want you to do this. I just want you to watch what I'm about to do. Okay. So normally we'd come into header. We'll do the header first because headers come first. Normally we'd come in there and we type in something like function header equals, and then we put paren, fat arrow, and then we'd have, return, and then whatever we were returning. So let's just say we put in a div in there, and that div just said the word header, okay? And then we'd come in and we'd say export default header. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with this. It's totally, totally fine. But I'm not going to do it that way. And I'd like you to do what I'm doing. And after I show this to you, if you're like, I don't like that, then don't do it that way. Do it the way I just showed you. But what I'm going to do, and what I'd like you to do, is to go over here to extensions, click on extensions. I've already got it loaded, but I want you to type in here ES7 dash, all right? And when you type in ES7 dash, I want you to type in React dash Redux, all right? And so it's React Redux and then dash, and it's GraphQL dash, all right? And you don't have to put in all this. I want to make sure that you are loading the right one so you can see how big this is. It's this one right here, all right? But I want you to make sure we're putting in the right one. So it's React dash native space snippets. It's that one that's right there. Yours, unless I did go over this earlier in the semester, but I already had it downloaded then and I have it downloaded now. Yours probably isn't. You probably have an install button. And if you do, just click that. All right. Now, if you decide that if after I show you this, it's like, that wasn't that cool, then don't do it anymore. All right. You really don't have to. But what I want to show you is a shortcut. And that is come into here and type in RAFCE. What that means is we want this to create for us a React arrow function. All right. And we want it to basically also be exported. So if I put that in and hit tab, that's what I get. Now, I think that's cool. Maybe you disagree and don't think it is at all. All right. But I kind of like it. All right. I kind of like it because it did that work for me. Plus, it made this an arrow function. So rather than us saying function here, it made it a true arrow function from the get-go. All right. When I say it made it an arrow function, this is a true functional component. All right. Now we're going to come back and change this a little bit later, but it's fine right now the way it is. So we just have a header that says header. That's it. All right. In fact, why don't we do this? Because we want to make this more, of a combination. Basically, we want this to look like a website. So I'm going to put this in here in a header tag. Like that. All right. Again, do you have to do that? No, but it'll work out a little bit better later when there's a few things that we want to do. All right. You'll have to take my word for it for right now. All right. So I'm going to do a file, save all, and I'm going to close this. Then I'm going to come over to footer and do basically the same thing. So again, RAFCE and hit tab. And now, as you can see, it's making the footer one for me. All right. And I'm going to just change this so that this says footer here and it says footer there. All right. So again, what I'm trying to do is show you some of the existing shortcuts to try to make your life a little bit easier. And as I mentioned, if you don't agree, you can always go back and put them in yourself. There are other shortcuts too. All right, let me do a file, save all. All right, and just so you see this, I'm going to put this back in just a second. I'm going to do a Control X. You don't have to do this. All right, but there's RFC, which is just a React functional component, and it does the exporting at the top, which you can do. All right, instead of RFC, there's what is it? Is it RCC? And that makes it a class component. So you can see that there's shortcuts in here if you're interested in using them. And again, if you go, well, I'm not, then just don't use them. You're not hurting my feelings any. But I'm just trying to show you some of the shortcuts that exist in this editor that kind of make your life a little bit better. All right. And again, you may or may not agree with what I'm saying. All right. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do a file save. All right. And I'm going to close this. All right. So far I've made a header and I've made a footer. So right now they're not resonating because I've got to go into my app.js file. So let's go in there. This you can all do because this is kind of what we've been doing. I'm going to remove the import logo file and everything that's in here in my return, I'm going to get rid of all of it except for the div. And believe it or not, the div is going to go in a minute. All right, so I guess I did have a div here, there. So that's all we have right now. Okay. Now, I want to show you something that I may or may not have said before to you, but I want you to hear it and I want you to understand it. Right now, everything that we're about to put in, we're going to put in inside of a div. So in other words, if I went right now, I'm not going to do this, but if I save this and actually ran it right now, nothing would show on the screen. But if I did go in and I looked, if I used the inspect, it would show me that there's a div right here. And you're like, well, big deal. It sort of is a big deal because you don't have to put in divs. You can put in that tag right there. That's what we're going to use. And it's called a React fragment. The reason that I'm using a fragment right here is now it won't create an extra div. So that's just one thing less for us to worry about. All right. So we're going to come in here and we're going to put in a few things. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to add our header. All right. And then this will be our main content, so we're going to put it in main. Now, in just a little bit, we're going to be adding some bootstrap stuff in here. So for now, I don't think that this will give me an error, but I'm going to say class name equals py-3. And if that makes no sense to you, please don't let it bother you. All right, because we're going to go and bring in that stuff momentarily. All right, then I'm just going to stick in an H1 right here, and it's going to say main content goes here. All right, and then under this, I'm going to put in my footer. Okay, so that's all I've got right now. So again, to summarize, what we did was we came in, we created a components folder under our source folder. In that components folder, we created two files, a header.js and a footer.js. All right. And after we did that, we went back to our app.js file and we're incorporating or bringing those in right now. So again, I'm going to do a file save all, and I want to see if I broke anything. So I'm going to come here and I'm going to do view terminal to bring my terminal back up. All right. And I should be able to just do my npm start from right here. And if I can't, if I get, well, let's see. Says this is related to npm not being able to find a file. Okay. All right. I'll tell you what the problem is. I want to go back and run this, but I want to go to back end. So I'm going to go to CD to back end. I'm sorry, to front end. All right. And now I'm going to try my npm start. All right. And it says header is not defined. Footer is not defined. Well, that ain't a great start, but you should know what the error is because I was stupid. All right. What do I mean? We have to come back here and import those. I like to do my imports before I import the CSS stuff. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to import header from /components/header. And then I'm going to do my other one. So import footer from /components/footer. All right, which I should have done, but didn't. All right. So let me again do a file save all. All right. And let me look and see if now I still have an error here. All right. I want to go back because it should be showing me output. It's not. And I know we've all been going through this. So let me go back to here where I've got this return. I don't know how, but somehow got a semicolon put in there. I don't know if that did anything or not, but I'm going to do a file save all. I'm going to go back to my terminal. I'm going to make sure it's clean by doing an npx kill minus port 3000. I'm going to clear, and I'm going to try another npm start. And again, I'm at the front end folder, or in the front end folder. Now I'm trying to figure out why, because it really should say here, header, content, and footer, and it's not. I don't know why. All right. But we're going to continue on because I'm sick and tired of spinning my wheels and not showing you stuff. We will get this to work. I'm just telling you.
Mine works, Mr. Scott.
That's, you know what? If yours works and mine doesn't, I'm totally cool with that. Do both of yours work?
Yeah, mine works.
Okay, good. All right, then I did something wrong, and that's okay. All right, we're just going to continue on. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to go out and in a browser window, I'd like you to please go out to React hyphen bootstrap.github.io. And if you can't read that, or if I said it too fast or whatever, it's right there. And if it shows on your screen and it looks like this, that's good. Now, we could bring in this, or we could bring in regular Bootstrap, or we could bring in this and Bootstrap. We're only going to bring in this. And if you say why, I'll show you in a moment. All right, but let's take a look through here for just a second. This is the most popular front-end framework rebuilt for React. All right, so the one thing about this, you can read this on your own. I know that. But what we're going to look at and what I want us to do before we finish up today is we're going to go out to components and we're going to use a bunch of the stuff that's in here. Now, this is really freaking cool, and I want to explain to you why. If I click on button, look how it renders stuff in here. All right, there we go. It doesn't render it as basically where you have to put in a class that says BTN, etc. It renders it as a regular button. Then the variant that comes in there is what we used to put in for the different kinds of classes, but we had to say BTN, danger, etc. So you can see this stuff. We're going to look at that. All right. And we're going to end up, not today, but we're going to end up using those. But if we look and work our way through here, we're also going to grab this nav bar. Not right now. I don't want you to grab it now. But a little bit later, we're going to grab every bit of code that's in here, every bit, and we're going to basically bring it into our program. In fact, we won't even need the export line, but we're going to bring all this in. Then we're going to modify that so it starts looking like our website. All right, so this is all stuff that we are going to do. Now, if I do go through back through here and I go through the overview, etc., and I go back to, let's just go back to the main page. All right, as you'd guess, and it's in here someplace, but if I go to the get started, well, there's the install. And as I mentioned, when you do the install, you can either do npm install. We could just install regular Bootstrap, but we're not going to do that. We could do what's shown here, which is an npm install of React Bootstrap and Bootstrap. We're not going to do that. We're just going to basically do this. So you can either highlight this line from where I have here, or because we only need the npm I, it doesn't matter. But I want us to bring that into our program right now. So I'm just going to copy this, and I'm going to go back into my program here. All right. And when you look, okay, I'm under what? I'm under the front end, right? And under my front end, I'm looking, is there a package.json? Yes, there is. So this is where I want to put this. So you can either start up a new terminal, or you can just break out of where you are. But I'm going to come in here. And again, I want you to always be able to see what I'm doing. And I'm going to put in npm install React Bootstrap. I don't want my package JSON open. And I'm going to hit enter. All right, that took just a second. Now, one thing about this, when you look here, notice it says 6 high severity vulnerabilities, which means there could technically be some problems with that. So if that bugs you, And you know, as it says, it includes possible breaking changes. You can then run this command. All right. And then it should get rid of those high severity vulnerabilities. What I have found is sometimes running that command can actually make it worse and not better. I have never had a problem even when it's come up with vulnerabilities. So I'm just going to leave it the way it is. All right. And I'm going to clear. Okay. So now I brought that in, and you already know this because I've done this multiple times for you. But if I go into my package.json, somewhere in here, it should show, probably in here, there it is. We brought in React Bootstrap, which was not there before. All right. So we did bring that in successfully. Good. All right. Now, what we're going to do next is going to very much influence the way your program is going to look. All right. What am I talking about? We're going to go in and we're going to add a theme in here. All right. So I'm going to do my file, save, and for now at least, I'm going to close this, and I'm going to go out again to the internet. All right. And I'm going to go out. If you don't like the one I'm choosing, choose a different one. If you don't like the site I'm going out to, go out to a different one. But I'm going to go out to bootswatch.com. And again, if you have problems seeing that, that is right there, bootswatch.com. And in there, they have about 10 to 15 pre-built, basically, for lack of better words, all right, themes that you can use. Okay, I'm taking for granted that you saw that long enough and you're all out there. Now, it doesn't matter which one of these you use. Because I've used this before, and I've used Flatly, and I've used Cyborg, and I've used Lux, and a bunch of the other ones. But I just picked Lumen. You don't have to. But I picked Lumen just for something different. All right. And what I want you to do then is to click where it says download, click there, and just choose the bootstrap.min.css file. So choose the Bootstrap. And if you want to choose a different one, if you're like, hey, that Lux looks better, choose Lux. If you want Latera or Minty or something else, choose that one. All right. But I'm just going to choose this Lumen. I'm going to click here, and it's going to download that and put it in my downloads folder. All right. So I'm going to click, I'm going to right mouse click on that. Try it again. All right. I'm just going to go to my downloads folder because I screwed it up, but no problem. I'm going to go out to my downloads folder. And there's my bootstrap.min.css. I'm going to grab it and I'm going to cut it to the clipboard. All right. Then I'm going to go back, and you can do this any way you want to, but I'm going to go back to front end, and I'm going to go back to source, and I'm going to plop it right in there. So now I've got 3 CSS files inside of my source folder. I have app.css, I've got index.css, and I've got bootstrap.min.css. That's where I want to put it. All right. Now, that's all fine. But as of right now, it's not going to change a flaming thing on your program. But we're going to make a change now. Then you should notice a change. All right. Just to be sure, because you guys have output and I don't, take a quick look at your output. All right. And now we're going to go in and we're going to make a change. Yes.
My React Bootstrap keeps making another package JSON.
Your React Bootstrap keeps making another
package JSON and package lock JSON, like outside of it.
Yeah, and I have no idea why it would want to do that. I mean, that's kind of what you had happen to you before, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. And I think I'm like putting it like my terminal in the right spot. It's in my MERN app. That's like the main file directory.
No, you want to this. What's in your MERN app directory?
Everything. Like
No,
my front end.
your front end. All this stuff that we're doing now should be in the front end folder.
Okay.
So everything that you see here, components, app.css, all the way down through bootstrap.min.cs, that should all be inside of your front end, and this is in the front end source right here. So right here, when you looked, I just want to make sure we're talking the same language. Right now, what I have underneath my MERN app is my .git folder, my front end folder, and my .git ignore. I don't have any package JSON. I have nothing in there. Then inside of my front end folder, I've got my node modules, my public, my source, my package JSON, my package lock JSON,
Yeah, I
my
think
README.
I think I just need to do a CD front end to get it into the front end.
Okay.
And then try that. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay. Then again, inside of source, that's everything. And it now has my bootstrap.min.css. All right. Now, having done all of that stuff, all right, what I want us to do is then open up your index.js file. Open up index.js. All right. And here you're importing that app, etc. Right, it doesn't matter really whether we do it below it or we do it above it. All right. But like I said, it really doesn't matter. But below these two things, I'm going to put in import. Maybe it does matter. I don't know. Let's put it up above just to be sure. So import, and we're going to put in here just in single quotes, / where the heck is it? Oh my goodness. So import / and we want to put in here now bootstrap.min.css like that. We shouldn't have to give it any path other than the / What that means is bootstrap.min.css should be appearing in the same folder that our index.js file is, and it is in that same folder. All right. So I'm going to save. And what you should notice, because you've got output, ideally at least, you're going to have the same output, but it should look like it's formatted a little bit differently, because it should have gone in and applied either the Lumen or one of the other ones that are in there. All right. You shouldn't have to refresh the screen. I would think if you just save, you should be fine. All right. Now, we're going to make a couple more changes here. We're about half done with where I wanted to be already. So I'd like you can close this. All right. And what I should be doing, I'm sorry, is I should be doing all this from inside of Visual Studio Code. I haven't been, but I'm going to try to start doing that right now. All right. So I want you then to open up app.js. Okay. And what we want to do is this probably on your screen. In fact, probably, since you guys got output, probably that output looks like it's way pushed over to the left, because by default, that's what it does. It pushes all that stuff way out to the left. All right. So we're going to change that. I don't think this will help me any, but I'm going to try something anyway. And that is, I'm going to put in this, and I'm going to put in that. All right. I know. Oops. There we go. Come on. There we are. All right. Now, what I want you to do is up on the top here, we've imported these components and we've imported our CSS. All right. So these are our local components. This is our local CSS file. I try to bring some order to this. I have mentioned this to you before, But when I've got anything that's third party, I like to do those first. You don't have to do that. All right, so I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say import. And I'm going to put in curly braces here, container from React Bootstrap. We may even end up adding some more stuff to this. All right, other than just container. But I want to show you something. So I'm going to let you put in that line of code. All right, I'm going to give you a second. We're going to change one line in here as well. All right. All right, so I'm taking for granted you had time to put that in. But remember, when we went out to here, you might say, well, when we did all this stuff, why didn't we just, import and then just, import everything? Because that imports everything that's in these components. And if you're not going to use them all, it can add bloat to your program. You should really be just importing from this package what we need. All right, because that just is the right way of doing things. That's all. These, as you've already noticed, these things get big enough as they are. I mean, they're pretty doggone big. All right. So I'm in here and I've imported the container. All right. Then in here, where I've got this H1 tag, all right, where I've got that H1 tag, what we're going to do is we're going to surround that H1 tag and we're going to put it into a container. All right. Like that. And what you should notice then is after you go and do a file save and look at it, at least that part, that H1, it's not going to be totally centered, but it should be pushed over quite a ways from where it was pushed in. All right. Now you might say, well, yeah, shouldn't we just do the same thing? And why couldn't we just put container around this whole thing? And then we would have had our header and our footer, because we want to do those individually. All right. Remember that what we're working with in here are components. All right. We already have a header component. We already have a footer component. And when you say, well, what about main? That's going to be where our pages are going to go eventually. All right. So doesn't matter really which one we do next, but I'm going to do another file, save all, and I'm going to close this for now. And I'm going to bring up from what's in here, I'm going to bring up my footer.js. Why am I putting up my footer.js? Because, all right, because right now, all it is it's got something on it that says footer, which is kind of stupid. So let's make it a real life footer. This is something, feel free to change what I'm about to put in here. If you don't like what I'm putting in, put in your own stuff. This is where you're going to start to go in and personalize it. All right. So the first thing I want to do is I want to come in here and under our import React from React, we're going to import a couple things. And there's going to be about 3 of them. So we're going to import container like we just did, and we're going to import row, and we're going to import col. All right. So we're importing those 3 things. All right. And don't worry about this export line. We'll fix this in just a minute. I guess I set mine up incorrectly. In fact, let me fix this. I'm going to fix it right now. So RAFCE. Oh, I knew I was close. RAFCE. There. All right. So I'm going to come back in here. Hopefully mine now looks like yours. And I'm going to put in here import. And again, we want to bring in container and row and col. And we're bringing those in from React Bootstrap. And I know I'm about to show you something. I'm being kind of redundant here. So if you're like, hey, I know what you're talking about, good. But I just want you to realize we're now going into this components. All right. You don't see the container in there, and don't worry about that. But the row and column basically are all in here, but this is where we're grabbing it from. So under layout, we're basically going to be setting up a kind of our grid or whatever you want to call it. All right. So we've got this right now. All right. Well, like I said, there's not really very much in here right now. So we're going to change this. All right. And again, yours may look different than mine. And if it does, it's not a problem. Yours hopefully will look pretty much just like mine in a couple minutes. Then we're taking our first break. All right. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to put in footer. All right. Then inside of here, I'm going to put in container. Then inside of there, I'm going to put in row. And then inside of there, I'm going to put in column. Remember, we have to say class name here, not class. And we want this to be centered. So I'm going to put it in as text dash center. And we'll add a little bit of padding like that. All right. Okay. That's the first part. Now, what I'd like you to put in here, and again, you can change this if you want to, your name. So I'm just going to throw mine in there. Copyright, ampersand copy, dash 2022. If you don't like that for a footer, change it and put in anything you'd like to put in there. All right. Or you can always change it later. It doesn't really matter. But I want your footer to be set up. And this should, after you go back and refresh it, this should go back. And again, at least ideally, it's going to look a little bit better. You could say, what about our header? We're going to do that after the break. This was a faster one to get done. So I just wanted to get this done now. All right. Now, one more thing, and we are breaking. All right. And that is right now, probably what you notice, and like I said, I still don't think I have output. I'll look, but I still don't think I do. So let me check. And even if I don't have output, I'm hoping you do. All right. But probably what you notice is that footer is up pretty high. All right. Oh, there we go. For some reason, now I've got output. That's good. Either I didn't wait long enough or I changed something. This is up pretty high. I want to push that down towards the bottom. All right. You can see how this has been pushed over. You can see how this has been pushed over. We're going to work on this after the break. All right. And don't worry if this isn't totally centered. It's fine. It's not going to stay as main content goes here anyway. All right. But what I want us to do, all right, is I want us to come in here and we're going to go into, and I don't care where you do it. When I started doing this, I'm not even using my app.css. I basically started putting everything into index.css. So I'm going to bring that up right now. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of every flaming thing that's in there. It's all gone. I got rid of everything that was inside of index.css. And I'm going to start putting my own stuff in there. So in that main area that we just did a bit ago, all right, I'm going to come in and I'm going to say the min height, and I'm going to set it to 80 VH. All right, so in other words, the main part of this should be taking up 80% of my screen, regardless of which size it is. So when I save it and I go back and take a look again, you can see how it's pushed it down towards the bottom. We can always go back in later and play with this any way we want to or need to play with it. I'm just trying to have us get some stuff up, so we've got to start here. All right. So it is 104. let's come back, please, and let's come back just so I want to, during the break, I'm sitting in right where I am, but I'm going to change my, I'm going to drop the share and try to fix the thing for the movie program. All right. When we come back, we only have about 15 minutes or so to do, hopefully. We're going to fix this header. And we're going to have a nav bar in there, and we're going to add some icons and do some other stuff. And that's where I wanted to get to today. Tomorrow, we're going to go in and we're basically going to talk about how to add our products in, etc. So that's what we're going to get to tomorrow. All right. So let's take a break and let's make it 1:20 that we come back, please. All right, it is 1:20, so I'm going to start back up. For some reason, I'm still having problems with the movie program. I don't know why. It worked earlier today, but I'll get it for you by tomorrow, and that's a promise. All right. I'm going to come back into here. I don't really like the way that it says copyright and there's a copyright symbol. You know, you want it like that, that's fine, but I'm going to go back into footer. And I'm going to just change this to Jeff Scott MERN app ampersand copy 2022. I like the way that that sounds better. So when I go back and take a quick look, you can see that it's changed. I like the way that that reads better. You can put anything, like I said, you want in there, and that's what's going to help make these things unique. I'm going to assume that as we get going in here, you're going to be using your own fonts, you're going to be using your own colors, etc. All right, enough of that. So I'd like you to please go back. Where are we here? I'd like you to go back to the React Bootstrap that's right here. If you closed it down, it's react-bootstrap.github.io. All right, and I want us to go out to the components, and I want us to find the nav bar. All right, we're going to end up putting the nav bar into our header. Okay. So I'm going to click on nav bar right here. And there's the overview. Read that at your leisure. All right. But what I want to do is basically I want to grab the stuff that's
Mr. Scott, you're not sharing your screen.
Thank you. All right. So I went back into React Bootstrap .github.io / and I'm going into components and I'm going down to nav bar right here. All right. Now, I'm not making a different file with this, so I don't need all of this stuff right here. I literally want to start where it says nav bar. I want to grab everything from where it starts at nav bar to where it ends at nav bar. All right, they don't have line numbers here, but hopefully I said that well enough that you understand. All right, I mean, if I make this smaller, you can see all of it here. So I'm starting with nav bar and I'm ending with nav bar. I'm grabbing all of that. All right, I'm grabbing all of that and I'm going to copy it to the clipboard. All right, we're going to make a lot of changes to this in just a couple moments. All right, so with that done, I want us to come back and open up our header.js file. I can close the footer. It's looking okay as far as I'm concerned. I may put something into index, so I'll just leave that open. But for right now, I want to open up the header, which, as you can see, doesn't have a whole heck of a lot in it. All right. Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to come in here and we want to import into this. Let me close this. So I want to import into here. And I want to put in navbar, nav, and container from React Bootstrap. All right, so now all of that stuff that we're about to put in here, all right, all that stuff that we're about to put in here, now the system will be able to understand it, or however you want to say that. I don't know. So I'm going to come back here. Okay, and I'm going to remove that line that says header. I'm getting rid of that. So now it just looks like this. That's my header. And I'm going to paste in everything that I just brought in from the React Bootstrap site. We're going to start making changes then. Now, if I said that too fast or if it doesn't make sense, please say something. All right. I'm going to do a little bit of fixing up on this. You don't have to. All right. If you say, what do you mean? I'm going to show you that right now. All right. Well, to start with, okay. And again, this is an individual type of decision. But where I've got the nav bar BG equal light, I'd rather have this be dark. The problem with making it dark like that, and maybe you've run into this kind of thing before, but the problem that you get with making it dark is the text is dark already. So I'm going to say in here, variant equal dark. Remember that variant word that we talked about before. All right. Expand equal large is fine, but I'm going to add to this collapse on select. So I just changed line 7 here, so it looks like what you see here in the blue. All right, then I'm just going to start working my way down in here, and I'm going to change what I'd like to change. All right, so the first thing is I don't want this to go to pound home. Just want that to go to slash. This is my brand area. So you can call this whatever you want, or you can put an image in there, or you can put in text and an image. But for now, all right, I'm just going to use the name of my app. I can change it later. So I'm going to put in MERN app. And again, if you don't like that, you can put something else in there. It's no big thing. All right. Here, this says that all of my navbar stuff that I'm about to go jack with down here should be left justified. That's the ME auto. All right. I'm going to change that to ML auto, and that should push it way over to the right instead of the left. If you like it on the left, keep it at ME auto. Not a problem. All right. Now we're going to change these links that are here. Now, we're going to change the links and we're going to do something. Don't run it because it would break. We'll fix it in just a moment. But under this nav.link, this first one that says home, we're going to change this. This is going to go and open up our cart. which, as you know, we have not made yet. All right. So in here, excuse me. So in here, we'll just say cart. And we're going to add something more to it in just a second. All right, so that's the first one. Just working my way down here. This second one, we are going to give the person the ability to log in. So this will be /login. All right, and this will say, you can put what you want here. I just put in sign in. You could put in login if you wanted to do that. Now, that'll work fine. There's no problem with that. But what I want us to do is, if right now it's going to break the program. What do I mean? We're going to add some font awesome icons, but we haven't added font awesome yet. So I'm just going to add these now. I'm going to put them right here, and I'm going to put it right there. Okay. If you decide later you don't like the icons I used, or you don't want icons, or you want to get icons from someplace else, you can do that. In fact, let me turn on word wrap here. Right? So here the class name, it equals FAS for font awesome, FA-shopping cart. /I. So I made the changes to this one. Now I'm going to make similar changes to the one here for the login. Okay. And granted, it looks a little funky with the word wrap on it, but hopefully you'll have enough time that you can look through it and fix it in just a second for, etc. All right. Now, some of the stuff that's in here, we're going to get rid of because we're going to create it ourselves. All right. And if you say, I don't understand, then just watch. All right. We don't need this drop down. We're going to make our own drop down later. We don't need this. So this drop down that you see right here, all right, we can get rid of. Okay. So with it highlighted, it's gone. All right, there's only a couple more things that we have to do here. Okay, the first thing is, excuse me, right underneath where we've got nav bar, right underneath this, okay, we've got a container here and a container there. That's good. I wanted to double check to make sure we had that, and we do. All right, so let's see. I'm looking through my notes here. All right, let's do a file, save all right now. And with that said, all right, let's go over and bring up a window in here. And I'm going to go to a new window, and I'm going to type in here, font awesome CDN, Content Delivery Network. All right, so font awesome CDN. And it should find it here under cdnjs.com, right there. So I came in here and I just typed in under Google, font awesome CDN. All right, and then I went down, it's about the fourth one, CDNJS for font awesome, right there. All right. The good news is the one we want is the first one, right here. So I'm going to copy the link tag, the middle one right there. I'm going to copy that to the clipboard. All right. And then I've got to go add it. Well, where do I add it? Hopefully it makes sense to you that where I'm going to add it, and I think this is the right place, is we're going to come in And under public, we're going to add it inside of our index.html file. All right. And I'm going to put this, I've got a couple link tags in there right now. I'm going to put it right underneath that and put it in like this. And that since we copied the link tag, it should already say rel equals style sheet, etc. If you copied in the other one, you're going to have to add the stuff yourselves. All right. So again, I can view, put a word wrap in there. So there that is. It shouldn't matter since it's font awesome. It shouldn't matter where we put that. All right. In other words, we should be able to put it up higher, down lower, but it should be in the head section. All right. Now I'm going to do a file, save all. And I'm going to go take a look in here. Now, during the break, I was playing around. Oh, that ain't good. And it's not showing me anything in here, and that's not good. So I'll have to take a quick look at that. All right. Now with yours, does yours look like mine? Did you totally lose your header?
No, I still have it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I still got mine.
Do you have your nav bar and stuff up here?
Yeah, I have everything.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have your icons?
No.
Okay. Then we'll go back and we'll take a look at what was in here because I know I put it in there correctly, or I thought I did at least, but we'll go back and look. So I'm going to go back into header here and I'm going to take it from the top. All right. So I've got header, that's good. Nav bar, and then the container inside of there, that's right. All right. And I've got my background dark, my variant dark, my collapse on select, that's correct. In my container, I've changed my brand to MERN app, that is correct. It should go to /, that is correct. All right. This used to always say MR auto, and the ME might actually still work, the one that was in there to begin with, because that's supposed to be margin end. But I'm going to leave it the way that it is. So did you guys get your links on yours? Are your links for your shopping cart and the sign in, are they there?
It is, yeah.
But everything's there, but the font awesome isn't there, correct?
I mean, I had the font awesome. I don't
No,
really know what it.
I mean on your page, it's not showing those font awesome icons.
Not yet. I'm finishing up typing them because I don't think I got them written down.
Yes. Shopping cart. So Clayton, yours did not come up. You did not get the icons. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. And when I look at mine, I've lost everything. So I'm going to go back, of course, and take a look at it. And it's not a spatial thing. It's just not showing. I don't know why, but we'll take a look at it. All right. We'll get those. I'm telling you, we're going to get all this. I don't know what the problem is, but it's going to be.
All right. I got mine in now.
You've got the icons?
Yep.
Okay. John, do you have them? And I'll go back later and take a look at mine and see if I can figure out why I'm not showing anything, but I'm not worried about it because it's going to come back.
Yeah, Mr. I got my icons.
You got your icons. Good. Now, they're not going anywhere because we don't have a cart page yet. We don't have a login page. So they're not operational. But what we've been able to do today is we've been able to kind of create, for lack of better words, our template. All right. So let me see, let me look in here and this is going to take a second, of course. I've been renaming stuff and doing whatever, because for whatever reason, this movie thing hasn't been working right. So let me see if I can get it to work now. Shouldn't have to do this, but I'm doing it anyway. See, it's been giving me errors. It didn't this morning, but it has been now. That's why I moved it over and tried doing it again. Okay, well, that's good. I've got to get rid of that, but I'll show you that's not a problem. So when we come in here, now, again, if I type in let's try Superman. And search. And there's Batman versus Superman. When you click details. Oh, come on, get up, get in here. Good. It worked just fine this morning. All right, I'm going to have to go back and work on it and get it to work so I can show it to you. All right. All right. So what we're going to do tomorrow, all right, and I'm going to give you what we're going to use for inputs, all right, but what we're going to end up doing tomorrow is we're going to start basically creating the equivalent of our product page. All right, I'm not sure for right now, we're not yet going to bring in our database. So we'll put this into Mongo next week. All right. But I'm hoping that we can get to the point where even if we throw it in there for now, for example, as some as like JSON, a JSON array or something like that, or an array of JSON objects, that we'll be able to use that, so you'll be able to see, and we'll actually have a product that will display on the page. All right. I apologize for whatever reason for this movie thing not working. It will work by tomorrow. All right. So even though it's been a very short period, this is what I had for today. I'm still doing the other stuff. I've started to create that, but I haven't tested it yet. I'm not gonna do that in front of you and then test it and have it flop. I want this project to work, and I want it to be good from the get-go. All right. So what I'm telling you is that's all I've got for today. We're gonna pick it up tomorrow and right at 12:05. All right. I will talk to you then. Thanks.